Good evening and welcome to the LSRL GT3 broadcast live by JPBroadcasting with myself, James Parfitt, and Michael David on the JPB YouTube channel. We are live from Virginia International Raceway this evening. Now, one of the things I want to tell you about this track, and I didn't actually realize it until earlier on today, is the track has actually got 6 configurations. Now, this is probably one of the first circuits I've been to that actually have all 6 still being used today. Now, the longest of these 6 is 4.2 miles long, 6.75 kilometers, and runs at 25 turns. Now, we're not doing that one today. We are on the forecourse, which is only 3.270 miles long, or 5.262 kilometers, and has only got 17 turns. Now, some of the events that this track holds currently are the IMSA Sports Car Championship, the GT World Challenge America. The Trans Am Series is also run here as well, and the FR America's Motor America Superbike Challenge is also run here as well. If you are here in chat, welcome in. Thank you so much for joining us. Daniel Reich, Pedro Meinberg Jr., thank you. Much love to you. Mega Oliver Dog. Ooh, welcome in. That's a bit of a different one. But I am going to bring Mr. Michael David into the booth with me this evening. Michael, good evening. How are you, young sir?
I'm doing great. How are you doing, James?
I'm very well, thank you very much. Not too bad at all, to be honest. And now I get to commentate on some absolutely amazing GT3 action, and I cannot wait for this, mate. I've been looking forward to this. We've got 19 cars on track tonight, and this course I think is going to bring something different to the proceedings that we probably haven't seen for a while, to be honest, because it's quite a tight, twisty circuit, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what it brings, to be honest.
You ever sat backwards on a roller coaster with your eyes closed? Because that's kind of what the feeling for this course gets to me. Kind of like you just always, you have to be completely in control of what your racing line is, because there's so many elevation changes, there's so many twisty turns, like you said, and it just all of a sudden out of nowhere, you're just coming over a bank. You're coming over a small hill, and then you're just like losing your elevation. You just get that feeling in the pit of your stomach. It's an insane course to me. It's a course that I've always enjoyed because I grew up in Northern Virginia, so you know VIR is a track that I consider a home track almost, but also a very challenging track that I've never really gotten my handle on. So I'm excited tonight to see what these guys could do. It's been a while since I've been on here with you, James, and I'm excited to be back.
Yeah, I think overall it should be one of them evenings that we can sit back and go, wow, that was incredible. Do you know what I mean? And I think the racing here this evening, we've got manufacturers up and down, Lamborghinis, Ferraris, Porsches, Mercedes, Audis and BMWs. And I think overall they should be providing us with the best action that they can. Now, we can have a look at the schedule that's going to be taking place this season. So as you can see here, we start off with Virginia International here this evening, and then on January the 15th we go to Bathurst, which is always a great track to attend. On the 22nd we go to Zolder, and then on the 29th we go to Chicago Street Circuit. On February the 5th we go out to Alton Park, and then we got the Daytona Roval at night, mind you, so that's going to be an absolutely incredible one to be sitting back and enjoying. Then we go to the 19th, we go off to Japan to Okayama, then Australia to Phillip Island, and then we're coming back across to Europe for Spa at night as well. Another night one at Spa of all places. And then we got the Watkins Glen with the bus stop, and then Road Atlanta, Indianapolis Roval, Twin Ring Matigi, Sebring at night, which is going to be absolutely amazing. And then we finish off on April the 23rd at the Nürburgring combined. There's some great racetracks involved in that, Michael, and you know, they've really gone about thinking what tracks are going to provide the best action, and they've definitely got them here this season, because I think some of the action is going to be incredible, especially at Bathurst, Daytona Roval, Spa-Francorchamps. That's in the dark of all places, and there's no lights at Spa, so that's going to be a different entity altogether for some of these drivers.
Well, I will say about this, Spa is a track that most of these drivers probably know inside and out. whether the lights are on, the lights are off, it doesn't matter. They've driven so many miles at this track that, I mean, they know it like the back of their hand. I will say this, though, before we ever get there, these first 4 races, actually these first, 5 races, VIR tonight, Bathurst, Zolder, you already know my opinion on Zolder. I absolutely love Zolder. It's just a tight, twisty track that just I personally love. Then I'm really going to be interested in the Chicago street circuit too, and then finishing up at Olden. Like, you're just starting off this season with these strong track choices that are really going to change. They're going to challenge these drivers with elevation changes. They're going to challenge them with the tight turns. All the little kinks of Zolder. Coming down the mountain on Bathurst. I'm really excited about the Chicago street circuit because, to be completely honest with you, I don't know anything about it. So it's going to be my first experience there, so I'm excited for that. But all these tracks, like, just coming up in the first 5 races, then you get further into the season, man. I'm just excited to be here, and I can't wait for this little journey we're about to take.
Yeah, it's another story and another chapter we're going to write here on the JPB YouTube channel for the LSRL GT3s. The format, guys, we are coming into qualifying. We're going to have 10 minutes of open qualifying before we go into a 45-minute race. Now, this is going to be started by a short parade lap and a rolling start. So a rolling start going down into the horseshoe. Yeah, VIR is going to be absolutely incredible because I think they've got to be careful, otherwise there is going to be some very big chaotic incidents there. It's open setups, which I think is going to be interesting. Some of these drivers are going to have to get used to the fact that they're going to have no fast repairs. None. So they've got a lot to deal with, but no fast repairs. And they're only going to be starting with 50% fuel. So it's going to be close whether or not they're going to be able to get to the end. And I think the ones that are managing their fuel the best may just make it, but they've got to be careful. So be aware that they are literally going to have to try their hardest to see if they can get to the end. Now, one of the things I want to touch on, and you generally love this conversation we have, is the flags are going to be dictated by iRacing. Okay, so that's following the same flag rules of the blue flags and any other flags that are received throughout the course of the race. Okay, so anything like black flags, it's all iRacing based. Now, point system itself, you're going to get first, you'll get 15 points, and then that runs down in sequential order right the way down to 15th, where they get 1, and then 15th to 21st, they get 1 as well. Bonus points for fastest lap, and then they get an extra bonus point just for being able to finish the race. Now, that itself is a big thing, because not every league gives bonus points for people just to finish, Michael, but that's a new conception that we're going to have to get used to this year.
No, it's definitely going to be quite a different little intricate piece to the puzzle this season. I'm excited to see how that can turn out. But really, it's just great to see this mixture of cars here that we're going to see here. We got a couple Ferraris, a couple BMWs, Porsches, Mercedes, Audis. It's going to be really interesting. I do know with the new BOP with iRacing and these open setups that some of these cars are definitely going to be a little stronger than others. It's going to be interesting to see which ones are. I've heard a lot of good things about the Lamborghini and the Audi this season so far. So it's going to be interesting to see which cars are really stronger than others at different tracks. The Ferrari should be able to take advantage of a track like this, though. Like you said earlier, they're not going to have any fast repairs. So that's going to be interesting. There's not a lot of walls that are really close to this circuit. But with the elevation changes, if you get off track a little bit, you might, hit a little bumpy part of the course. You might mess up your airflow, something to do with the front end of your car. Next thing you know, that's going to affect you down the straight here and there. And, you got to be really careful with these cars out here. So I'm going to be very interested to see who can really continue and hold on to these cars, with all the elevations and the blind turns. Who's going to be able to, really manipulate these cars all night long and keep the damage to a minimum?
Yeah, we've just seen Dylan Gona's spin there as well out on his quali lap. He hasn't actually He's done about 1.23 of a lap. So Dylan's going to have to be careful there. We've got James Rep. He is currently on top of the time in tower on a 149.48. With they're looking at James in that Ferrari. Now, I took the BMW out for a spin the other day just because I used to like the BMW. I didn't like the BMW. I went back to the Mercedes very quickly. Was not my favorite car. It didn't handle like the BMW generally handles, and it really is quite annoying driving it now. So unfortunately for me, the BMW has gone, and I don't like the BMW, not at all. Jay Smart has popped his Lamborghini currently into second place. So Jay there popping it on to second. It's going to be interesting to see how he gets on this season. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that one there as well. So all in all, Michael, I think it's going to be an interesting scenario of how these cars handle and how these drivers handle these cars, to be honest.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I haven't been able to really take too much, too many laps here this new season. Here, I've been dealing with some equipment issues on my end, so I don't really know too much about how these cars are really handling right now. So this is all going to be a new territory for me right now, because I'm really excited to see just what these changes that iRacing made recently here are going, how these changes are going to affect these cars. And honestly, it's going to be something that I'm going to have to learn. You know, I know these drivers are still learning these cars, but I'm going to have to learn these cars myself. You're going to have to learn these cars. So it's exciting seeing. I'm watching Ben Barnes here kind of spin out a little bit, but yeah, no, I'm super stoked to be here tonight.
Yeah, Thomas Boniati's just gone off track as well. He is in the Mercedes. Jay Smart is currently on top at a 145.02. Steve Baker there as well. We've also got Brandon Birmingham in the Ferrari. He is kicking along quite nicely, currently sitting in 8th place as well. So we've got Brandon Birmingham sitting in 8th at this moment in time, guys, as well. But one of the things, don't forget, guys, while you are here, if you can give the video a big old thumbs up, don't forget to subscribe and turn on the bells, because we've got some great action coming up next week here on the JPB YouTube channel, and there is a lot happening, so be aware on that one that you will see a lot of racing consistently this next week. So just sort of sit back and enjoy it, because we've got a lot coming up, including MX-5s, Radicals, GT3s, Formula One, or the Mercedes W12. It is actually being run by the LSRL this season, so that is coming up next week as well. But we've got still 3:35 left on the clock, and we've got Steve Baker has just gone across the line. He has gone into second place there, so Steve doing a great job. Nathan Graham was a late entry. We were getting Nathan into the league here in his Lamborghini. He is on a 145.41 currently at the moment as well. Quite close at the moment, Michael. We've got a second gap between first and currently down in 6th place. So I'm interested to see how that pans out as the race progresses.
It's going to be really interesting to see how these drivers are able to handle some of these, track limits here tonight too. You can get a really good line, especially through here. We're watching as this car comes through the S's there. But it's so easy to just step out a little bit, and since there aren't really too many walls too close, you can kind of, cut a few of these corners here, but you get a little too brave, and all of a sudden, you cut one, you cut two, now you're reaching your track limits. It's going to be exciting to see who's able to manage that throughout the course of the evening. We got a not too long of a race here, but it's definitely going to be, everybody's going to be, gas pedal to the metal tonight, trying to push their limits here. So I'm excited to see that.
Yeah, it should be a good one. Nathan Graham is currently doing purple sectors. Now, if you're wondering why we haven't got a track map, guys, there is some technical issues with the track map currently at the moment. It will not come up on screen, so unfortunately I cannot show you a track map in the last 2 minutes of qualifying. So me and Michael will just work out where they are on track currently at the moment. And as we are talking, Nathan Graham is going round coming along through 11 and 12 and running down. He's actually on 14, 15, 16, 17 and going across the start-finish line. So there we go. But stay tuned. We will bring you all the action with 1 minute 40 left on the clock. Some people are going faster. Thomas Boniatti, he's in the Mercedes. Should be a good one there. I do love the Mercedes. I'm not going to lie, Michael. It's my favourite car. It sounds the best. It gruffs the best. And for me, it drives better than the BMW completely.
I think you need to toss a coin there, because I've heard, Mercedes guys say the BMW just, I lose at the weirdest spots.
Mm-hmm.
BMW guys say I lose the Mercedes at the weirdest spots. You're comfortable with one of those two cars. It doesn't really matter which car that you're comfortable with. You choose that car, and your driving style fits that car. For me, the last time I tried to drive the Mercedes, I couldn't get around Alton. So yeah, that was kind of a rough weekend for me. I'll say that. But I generally lean towards the Porsche anyway, so I don't really have a dog in this fight. As we watch here, we got a Porsche here coming around the corners. Yeah, is that O'Connor we're looking at?
Yeah, Ryan O'Connor there as well. Currently, I am in the Porsche, driving around there in that wonderful green livery that he has got on the car at the moment, and then go flying past the iRacing cameraman. He's a little bit close to the track circuit, bless him. But I hope they're paying him well, because he seems to be doing a stellar job with about 5 seconds left of qualifying. Don't forget, guys, if you are here, you can say hello. We do not bite. We will answer you, and we will have a conversation with you there as well. So get yourselves involved. Let us know who you think is going to win. Obviously, we've got Daniel Pereira fans in the chat as well, Pedro Meinberg Jr., and also Nilsson Messiahs. I'm hoping I don't butcher your name too much there. So thank you very much. Is this a demo or a live race? I'm new to this, thinking about getting into it. This is currently a live race, buddy. This one. I'm hoping that's what you mean there as well. So coming to the end of practice, Ryan O'Connor is going round the final corner. He's going to be coming across the line very, very shortly. Dylan Gomez is still out there as well. Nathan Heffley, Joseph Carnes, Nathan Graham. Nathan's popped his car into second place, so that's a stellar job from him. Right.
James, I'm a little worried there.
Why?
This is a live race.
It is.
I didn't know you were just putting so much stress on my shoulders now. I don't know if I can handle this live race that's going on here.
I'm sure you'll be fine, young sir. I'm sure you'll be fine. We have had people not set a lap. Joseph Fernandez, Jared Lindsay, Reed Wilson, and Jonathan Dickerman has not set a lap either. So I'm going to presume that they are going to start from the back of the grid. I hope they are here in the session. We are just waiting for the advancement of the session so we can move in to showing you the grid and get ready for what I think is going to be an epic race, as long as it doesn't all go wrong down in turn one. Michael, I'm a bit scared about that turn one.
Turn one is always, a bit of a toss-up here, especially here. We're at the beginning of the season. You're just going to try to kind of feel out your opponents, see where everybody's feeling. It's going to be a rough one. That's for sure. I don't think anybody's going to be doing anything intentional, but it's just going to be a challenge to get through this first portion of this race, just to get started here. And yeah, it's going to be a tough one.
What do we think? We've got Ferrari, 2 Lambos, a Porsche, and another Ferrari in the top 5. Now, obviously, from your love for the Porsche, I'm guessing you're probably hoping the Porsche of Steve Baker comes through and takes the victory. But realistically, what are we thinking here? Because, there's a lot of cars here on track, and I'm just a little bit worried that we're going to be looking at a Ferrari Lambo 1-2, but the grid is up in front of you currently at the moment. Joseph Carnes is in first, Jay Smart in second, Nathan Graham third, Steve Baker fourth, James Rep fifth, Ryan O'Connor in sixth, Dylan Gonaz in seventh, Peter Muller in eighth, Daniel Pereira is in ninth from Black Gold Racing, Sean Atkins in 10th, Mason Sagar in 11th, Thomas Boniatti is in 12th, and then beyond that we have got Ben Barnes in 13th, Brandon Birmingham in 14th, Nathan Heffley 15th, Gerard Lindsay 16th, Joseph Fernandez 17th, Jonathan Diggerman is in 18th, and Reed Wilson rounds out the grid with 19 cars. Drivers are not on track. This has got to be the weirdest way of doing a pace lap that I've seen.
Yeah, I'm a little confused here. What do you mean drivers aren't on track?
They're in the pit lane.
Oh, okay. So they're starting from the pit lane. They're going to do a full lap and then a second lap. Is that what's going on here?
Well,
or is the pace car going to come in? They're just starting from the pit lane instead of starting from the starting grid?
I think they're starting from the pit lane and then going off. The initial start of every race will be a short parade lap and rolling start.
Okay.
So,
that makes sense.
Yeah, but this short parade lap is going to end up to be a whole lap, isn't it, really, when you think about it? Because obviously they're all in the pit lane. So, yeah, they're going to have to do a full one to come round to the start again. If I'm not mistaken.
So I do got to say, there's 3 Porsches here in the top 10, 3 Lamborghinis in the top 10, 3 Ferraris in the top 10, and 1 Mercedes. Like, that's pretty even. It's going to be really tough. I think the Lamborghinis seem to have a bit of an advantage here. They just seem very strong. The Ferrari's a little more spread out. So I think this track, qualifying. If qualifying serves us any purpose, if I have to read anything from the beginning of this race before anything, we drop the green flag, I'm going to say these Lamborghinis have a little bit of an advantage here tonight. The Ferraris are kind of a bit boom or bust, it seems. But this is all off of qualifying. We don't know how these cars are going to last. Who's going to be able to handle the updated tire model? That's a complete that's completely new to me. The few laps that I've run, the few sessions that I've run, I noticed that it was just a completely different ball game in between, pit stops with the tire wear here. So it's going to be really fun to see who can really just not only control these cars the fastest, like this Ferrari up front here of Joseph Carnes, but those Lamborghinis, they just seem steady. They seem in control. They seem level. I'm going to have to roll the dice here. And even though I'm a Porsche guy, I think one of these Lamborghinis are going to take this one.
Okay. Well, I'm going to shoot from the hip, right? I've got Steve Baker in the Porsche. Now, I'm not a Porsche lover, right? Partly because it spends more time trying to kill me when I drive it than it actually does trying to keep me on track. So I'm going to go with the Porsche Steve Baker because it looks like he's probably going to be able to handle that car a lot better than I can. So that's my pick. Let us know in chat who you think is going to be your choice if you are watching this live this evening. Who you think's going to win for you? Okay, so just you. Don't try and please us commentators. Just for you. Who you think is going to win this evening? You've got a Jay Smart in the Lamborghini, Joseph Carnes in the Ferrari, Graham in the Lamborghini, Steve Baker in the Porsche. They're all there, and you can have a look and see which one you feel is going to win this evening. Let us know as I bring up the car models for you on the left-hand side, and you'll be able to tell us which one you feel is going to be your winner as we get on board with Joseph Carnes now.
I'm a little surprised there isn't any Audis up front there. Doesn't seem like there's too many in the field. There's only 2 BMWs, 2 Audis, 3 Mercedes. So, like I said, I don't have a lot of experience with these new, 2023 spec BOPs of all these cars. So this is going to be a bit of a learning curve for me myself. I do have to admit that, but I'm kind of surprised from what I've heard. The Audi was a very strong car. I knew the Lamborghini was a strong car, but I'm surprised.
It's like anything, though, Michael, isn't it? It's a strong car depending on the driver behind it. I mean,
yeah, sure, but
any of these are bad drivers. That's not what I'm saying at all. What I'm saying is, obviously, it depends on from driver to driver, doesn't it? Which one people are going to like. But we are going to be green here very, very shortly. Joseph Carnes from JBJ Racing is going to be setting us off. We're coming over now.
Green, green, green.
Here we go. We are green and we are live. And it's Joseph Carnes going off onto the first corner out in front with Nathan Graham behind him. Jay Smart there coming around the outside as these guys run around turn 1, round the horseshoe. And off we go up into turn 2 and 3. And at the moment, everybody's made it through completely fine. No dramas. Steve Baker pushing there, car number 44, that is Jay Smart early on in as well in the Porsche. Everybody got through, Michael. No real dramas so far.
Yeah, that was beautifully done here. I'm kind of surprised. That Lamborghini of Jay Smart is just not starting too well. He's back a couple positions now, losing a spot there to the Porsche. That is Steve Baker, and he's still under pressure here by Ryan O'Connor as well, so he might lose another spot here. But the flip side of that coin, Nathan Graham is right on the heels of Joseph Carnes here, right on the front of this race. Carnes getting a great start here, but the Lamborghinis are going one of two ways, and one's speaking of the devil here, that Ferrari is out by himself here as we see a Porsche going off here. I'm not sure what happened there.
Ryan O'Connor went off track at one point. He'd gone that far off track. He actually showed up in the lead. But this is Ryan O'Connor here. Oh, yeah, so he almost cut across the track. So the timing stop, that's why he shot to the beginning of the timing tower like he was in the lead there, guys. He wasn't. He had to go back round. He couldn't just come back on and miss a quarter or a length of that track. But Ryan O'Connor there is at the back. James Rep in the Ferrari on the right-hand side, chasing down Dylan Gonaz there in the Lamborghini. And at the moment, it is Rep sitting in 5th place here, Michael. The problem is now is Joseph Carnes has kind of gone. We've got Mercedes in the pits already. Sean Atkins is in the pits. Jay Smart, Steve Baker are together on track. My man, the Porsche, Michael, like to point out, the Porsche, Steve Baker is sitting currently in 2nd place.
I mean, you're pointing it out to me like I'm surprised. I went against the Porsches tonight, but right there, Jay Smart had a horrible. Oh, we see a couple cars getting off here. Is that a Ferrari? That is Pereira and Graham getting off there. Well, I'm not sure what happened. Do we have a replay here?
Yeah. This is Pereira on the outside. That's the Mercedes. That's a very bright Mercedes, mind you. Graham sends it.
A little double pirouette right there.
Yeah, but the question was whether or not there was a gap in the first place, and whether or not it was expected that should have been left. I'm not entirely sure that should have been left there, and whether or not that gap was there. I appreciate you probably tried to follow the car through, but unfortunately for Daniel Pereira, he's now dropped all the way down into 13th. Now Nathan Graham is now 14th. Steve Baker is here in the Porsche. We've got about 2.6 second gap already up front to Carnes, and we've got Steve Baker basically about 3 tenths there with Jay Smart behind him. If Carnes is not stopped very soon, he's going to be kind of running away with it, I think.
Yeah, I don't really see the Porsche having a great advantage on this track. I think that Lamborghini is going to come into play here very shortly. I think, he's getting a really strong toe here down the front straight. Carnes is just out there just kind of cruising along here. But these two are starting to gain a little bit on him. He was at a 2.7, 2.6 second gap there. That's down about 3 tenths, 4 tenths now. So Baker and Smart are starting to catch on to the back end of Carnes here. I kind of have to stick with my gut here, even though I'm a Porsche guy. I think that Lamborghini there, Jay Smart, really gonna make some moves here coming up in the next few laps. I think Nathan Graham, as we see another car here. Who is that? That is off.
Nathan Heffley is off.
Nathan Heffley.
Yeah, in the BMW. He's gone off as well. Thomas Boniatti has also been off at the same time. Now, he's been into the pits. Now, I can't see any major dramas. He just jumped to the pits somewhere in the race and he's gone in again. Not entirely sure what the issue is, whether or not he's having tech issues, but it didn't look like Thomas Boniatti has actually made it out sufficiently. I can't see him having any contact. He's left the pits, then he's gone back in again. So unfortunately for Thomas, is now in the pits. Joseph Kahn's out in front. Jay Smart still battling away with Steve Baker here as well, as these guys here at this Virginia International Circuit are kind of really showing us, you know, they've got to be looking at trying to close up. The gap's down to 2.2. It was a lot more than that, Michael, and they seem to be doing a good job of being able to work together as they come around that last corner.
Yeah, all three of these guys up in the 145s. You know, first, second, third place, all three of them got their lap times down really tight, really fast. As we see the Lamborghini, you know, Jay Smart trying to make a move here. He's not quite going to be able to put that nose up there, but still, you know, he's really just kind of been lurking here for a couple laps now. I know I keep bringing it up, but, you know, I really think that Lamborghini's just coming into its own. I'm really surprised at the start, not only Nathan Graham, but Ryan O'Connor. Ryan O'Connor, he kind of had that incident right here as we see a couple of the Audis moving up from the top 10 here. We got one in 11th and 10th place.
Yeah,
they are kind of, yeah, they're trying to make their warm up.
Yeah, they're trying hard, bless them. You know, it's tough when you're the only two Audis in the grid. They have got a queue of cars. Joseph Fernandez, unfortunately, he's got Jared Lindsay, Daniel Pereira, Nathan Graham, and Ryan O'Connor coming back through the field. So, yeah, unfortunately for Fernandez, he's going to be under the cosh very, very quickly, as we've got 38 minutes remaining, and he's got some fast guys behind him. Don't forget, Pereira was involved in that incident. Graham was up the front of the grid. Ryan O'Connor was up the front as well, and then ran off onto the grass. So, unfortunately, Graham again and Pereira are going to be coming back together. This is like chapter number 2 here. Okay, once the contact once you can kind of live with, Michael, but I think if it goes again, I think there may be questions asked here.
Yeah, I definitely think that they're getting a little racy here. As we see, he's making a move on the inside, so that Lamborghini is trying to go on the inside here. Graham on Pereira trying to push back in that is for position from 14th into 13th place. He's going to get that spot. Ryan O'Connor is also trying to make that move stick as well. Unable to get his nose up there far enough on that Ferrari, but looks like the Ferrari here of Pereira is having some issues, and I wonder if Daniel Pereira is, you know, just trying to commit to damage control at this point as we see that Porsche coming alongside. Generally, the Porsches aren't the strongest down the straights, but yeah, O'Connor's going to get that move done, and he's also going to see the inside here on Graham. Graham getting a little tight there, but looks like everything's kind of settled down a little bit, a little further up.
Yeah, Joseph Fernandez was right alongside Jared Lindsay at one point there. Lindsay was, that is Joseph Fernandez running wide. That's allowed Graham through. Connor got a bit of a slide on in the Porsche, and then Pereira had to check up in the Ferrari. And unfortunately for them guys, there was a lot going on. Further up the field though, we've got Ben Barnes, Peter Muller, and James Rep. These guys here battling away for 5th, 6th, and 7th place. Peter Muller in the second Porsche, mind you. So he's teammates alongside Ryan O'Connor. So this should be an interesting one. And of course, James Rep there at the back in the Ferrari, down 2 on his grid slot, started up in 5th place. Now, one of the biggest gainers out of all of this is Ben Barnes. He's currently up 7 places so far. The gainers and losers are on the left-hand side there. Ben Barnes up 7, Birmingham up 5. Graham's just taken Lindsay. Lindsay's now up 5 as well. To be fair, that's not a bad start to the race, considering we've still got 35 minutes remaining.
A great start to the race. I know Karn's kind of out there just kind of doing his own thing. but we've seen this midfield here really, getting after each other. If one person makes a mistake at one point or another, somebody is there to attack and take advantage. And even when somebody makes mistakes, they fall back. They don't fall back too far, and they're able to, stick with this chain. Even Pereira there, Daniel Pereira. Oh, there we go. Really trying to make the move here. O'Connor and Fernandez fighting it out there for 13th place. But even Daniel Pereira right there, he was up a little further. He's falling back a little bit, but you see a little bit of a slide there from the Audi. That's one of the biggest problems with the Audis. Yeah, I think they are very slippery.
Yeah, he's let Jonathan Dickerman here as Ryan O'Connor through now. So O'Connor's now got to try and push up to catch up with Lindsay. Obviously, the two Audis of Dickerman and Fernandez from JJ Racing here together on track. Daniel Pereira in the Ferrari behind. Now O'Connor is kind of set free. He's got to kind of get on, almost on his bike a little bit to get up with Lindsay and kind of try and do the job. It's going to be a difficult one from there though, and Pereira is now trying to clear Fernandez. Doesn't make it through this time, but Steve Baker still can't get rid of Jay Smart though, Michael. He's still there, still chasing him down, and they're still closing the gap on Joseph Kahns up front. The gap is now down to 1.4 seconds here tonight. Yeah. They're getting closer.
At this point, I got to throw it up to Steve Baker. I sit here and claim to be a Porsche guy. I've been talking up the Lamborghinis all night long, but Steve Baker, he's just not letting Carnes out of his sight. He's got Smart all over his bumper for lap after lap after lap. He's just keeping a calm, cool head, just keeping that Porsche right there, and he's really just, cutting, 10th and 10th and 10th here and there, just chopping at that lead. He's really starting to reel in Carnes. This is going to be a very, very tight battle here in a few laps. And I'm really excited to see that just because, from what I've heard, these Lamborghinis are very good on the tires. I'm curious to see the Ferrari, how well the Ferrari is going to hold up on these tires, because I know the Porsches haven't changed that much. So if you can handle a Porsche and handle a Porsche's tires, then you know what to expect a little further on into your race. I think, obviously everybody gets comfortable with the car and they get to know that car, but the way the Porsche drives, you can kill a Porsche and kill your tires, or you can be really rough on a Porsche and still kind of control it. That Lamborghini's there.
Oh, he's going to try and go up. Oh, that's car number 29. That's the BMW of Nathan Heffley running off wide there. I thought he was going to get him there, Michael. I thought Smart had got that move done, but just watching that lap, it's quite interesting to see the Porsche is quick through this first part of the circuit, but then the Ferrari kind of extends the gap through the last part. Maybe it's a balancing act for Baker that he's got to try and push him one to stay with Kahn, but then he's got to try and go again to keep with him up in the second part where Kahn seems a little bit quicker.
Well, if that's the case, then I'm completely wrong, and that Porsche's tires are going to run out a lot sooner than that Lamborghini's is. I think Baker's been running a great race, but if he does, like you say, have to, push so hard in the first part of the lap just to be able to keep up in the second part of the lap, that's not going to help the situation. That's just going to destroy his tires even more.
Yeah, but if you watch it through here, the gap's down to below a second now, right? This is where Baker kind of picks up the time. Up through the S's on that run down through the snake section of this circuit. The gap's come down again. Here he goes. He straight lines that a lot more fluently than the Ferrari does. The Ferrari seems to be a bit longer, but now as we get down further on in the lap, this is where the time starts kicking out. We're now back above a second again. And he's got to push here, 1.2. There's that part of the circuit that he seems to be continuing losing time in. And then he's coming into the third part, that we've got this long run round the oak tree and all the way down into the roller coaster. And this is where he's kind of dropping back. And that's what I mean. For that first sector, primarily, he's got to push like a trooper to get that gap below that second. And trying to do that lap after lap, that tire's not going to last.
Yeah, I gotta agree with you, man. I still, my instant gut feeling was the Lamborghini. I think the Lamborghini is just sitting here waiting to buy his time. But let's go ahead and talk about that Ferrari up front here for a moment. He was losing a little bit of time. He was losing a tenth here and there, but he's kind of stabilized that gap, stabilized it down to a 1.1 second gap here. Karn's cool under pressure, not really too scared of the Porsche and the Lamborghini fight that's going on right behind him. We fall a little bit further back into the pack now, so we see the Audi, the Ferrari, Audi and two Ferraris getting after it. I'm not sure what that third car is, but
So
now we're looking at Daniel Pereira.
Yeah, they're both Audis and the Ferraris, Daniel Pereira and Brandon Birmingham. Birmingham's now off track. Unfortunately for Birmingham, that is the last corner, what they call the hog pen, and is now gone off track. And this is where his issue started from. Here, he went off. Nathan Graham involved once again. Birmingham going off there a lap ago.
Ooh, that might be one for the stewards. That was a little bit of an unsafe rejoin there. I think Birmingham and Pereira definitely. I'm gonna have to revert to the stewards on that one. I'm not sure that was so clean.
Yeah, the rejoin wasn't ideal, but unfortunately, I don't know how much of a control of that he actually had. If you have a look from the
fair enough.
Yeah, if you have a look from the initial contact, he's kind of locking it up, and then he's on the grass. We know what grass is like. Yes, that isn't ideal.
Yeah, I think at that point, once you get onto the grass, you need to lock your brakes just to become somewhat, predictable.
Yeah,
you don't have control, so if you don't have control, the immediate move there is to lock your brakes. I'm not saying that he would have avoided the situation if he had done so. I'm just saying if he had locked his brakes when he lost control of the vehicle, being on grass like that, knowing he didn't really have control coming onto the grass, and just held his brakes, he would have been more predictable, and it maybe that other Lamborghini could have gotten out of that situation. I just think that could have been handled better.
Yeah, I don't get me wrong. I'm completely agreeing with you. I think he could have done a lot different compared to what was done. But Brandon Birmingham, I'm sure, will learn from that action. As we can see, the leaders now has come back below a second again. Pereira unlucky today. It does, unfortunately, for Daniel Pereira. It looks like he's getting himself involved in a lot of things already. That's his, third real accident and contact with other drivers. So, unfortunately for Pereira, he's going to have to, I don't really know, sit back and analyse what happened, and hopefully he'll be able to rectify any mistakes that may have been his fault, and obviously may have been other people's as well.
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree with you. Everybody's going to have to take a look here at themselves. But before we take a look at ourselves, let's go ahead and take a look at this gap that has just been closed in here. Baker coming on a Carnes under a second. He's got that gap down just under 7/10. He's really cut it down, and he is just focused and moving in on his target. Jay Smart just kind of falling back here. I'm not sure if there was an incident that led to this, but first and second place here seems to be the battle. Third place falling off here.
Yeah, no. The simple answer to that is no. There wasn't any errors from Jay Smart in the Lamborghini. Unfortunately, it just looks like he's just losing time. Where Baker in the Porsche, where we thought his tyres were going to go, seems to have not lost that time. He seems to be continuing on quite happily with 26 minutes remaining here, and I think this is where the battle is going to commence. We've got Graham again down here in 11th place. He's battling away with Lindsay, and Pereira, of course, from Graham's point of view, was involved in an earlier incident with Pereira. Oh, Lindsay goes in deep. Graham goes round as well. I'm not too sure if that was tunnel vision there, thinking that Lindsay's car might be coming back his way.
Yeah, that might have been a little bit of, just like you called it, tunnel vision. But I do want to say, just to kind of prove your point here, maybe we had it backwards. I kept talking up that Lamborghini, but maybe that Lamborghini was doing its best to hold on to its tires just to keep up with that Porsche. And I was sitting here thinking that the Porsche was doing that instead. And really, the Porsche was just kind of hanging on there, as we see Moeller here fighting to hold off The Ferrari there of Rep just all breathing down his neck. I can't believe we haven't seen him pull out yet. Here he comes. He's finally making the move here. He's going to try for the inside. He's going to go down here, and he's going to get the job done. Just all over that Porsche there. Rep coming through. That was a great move.
He got it done going down into turn 14 around the roller coaster. I tell you, for Joseph Carnes, he thought his gap was safe, but is now less than 2 tenths here currently at the moment. And there is the looming Steve Baker, my pick for the win, I like to point out as well. And he's still going in the same direction. So, you know, the commentator's curse is not quite kicked in just yet. And I'm hoping it doesn't, but I am going to jump down to Nathan here as well. He's currently side by side with Joseph Fernandez. He's gone through, and then I want to go back up to Carnes to watch the Porsche behind us of Steve Baker. This is where the gap extends. The Porsche doesn't look as fast. Actually, Baker's lost a lot of time. Has Baker just got a slowdown that we don't know about?
Yeah, that looked very interesting. He's starting to fall back into the clutches of Jay Smart there, but he lost about a second there. At least a second and a half, maybe.
He's out of 2.
Yeah,
he was down to 2 tenths.
Yeah, that's insane. Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on here. He must have had some sort of slowdown penalty, but that's one of the things that I was trying to bring up before the race started. Is, you know, you can push on this track, but it's real easy to push those limits there, those track limits, and something that seems minuscule as we see a Ferrari going off there. That is the Ferrari of Birmingham. Is that from Birmingham right there? We'll get a replay.
Yeah, not entirely sure. This car's done. It looked like it was done from where he went off here. Oh, that's a wall. There's got to be a wall.
Yeah, there's nothing he could have done there. That's gonna completely destroy your front left end. And yeah, there's that's a tough section there, going through into the final couple turns there. If you catch that inside curb, you just launch the car and you have absolutely no chance of catching the apex. And once you get on the grass, you're done. You're going straight into the wall. There's just nothing that you can do in that situation, but you know, hope that your Tokyo drift skills come into play.
Yeah, I've
but
got none
we all
of them.
know they don't.
Do you know the weirdest thing with that though is instead of going, well, it was almost more viable for Birmingham to go in nose deep into that barrier, because if he's turning right, the wheel is obviously going to be sticking out of the wheel arch at the moment of contact onto the barrier, which is then going to break the car, right? Which is clearly what has happened. But
okay, this is what I'm going to interrupt you here, James. I'm going to interrupt you here. You just to make your argument clear, what you're saying is instead of allowing the car to hit on the front left end of the car, just spin it around and hit it nose first into the wall instead.
Well, he was already going nose deep, wasn't he, at the moment he was turning right?
I think what you're saying is illogical, because I think in the moment as a race car driver,
so he's coming off, right?
Your goal is never going to be...
He's going off here, look, he's already
He's a passenger. He's a passenger at this point.
He could have got in. I'm still blaming. I'm still thinking.
So you're saying he should have just turned his wheel to the left and gone head first?
Might have come out a little less damage than what he has come out with.
So just destroy the front end of this car on a track that is so dominant on front end.
And what is the difference to the state the car has got now, apart from he's sat in the pits? So is why is Baker in? Pit stop?
Are these required pit stops? I think this is probably required pit stops.
Well,
it's got to be, right?
50% fuel.
So they're going to have to fill up at some point. Because this is a 45-minute race, is that correct?
Yes, that is correct. It
yeah,
is
so
correct.
yeah, no, I don't think if they're doing 50% fuel, I don't think they can make it that far. So this is probably going to be that. And these drivers might be thinking about tire changes.
Yeah,
and what's nice is now that you can change your tires while you're refueling. So that's a little bit of a bonus there. They changed that.
Only on certain cars, mind you.
Yeah, but in these GT cars, that's the case, correct?
Yes, that is. I believe that is now back to being the case. However, for the Radical users in the SR10, that is not the case.
Okay, so Radicals, which, mind you, is a great car. Don't get me wrong, but so that doesn't make sense.
It's not. Apparently, it's one after the other. I got told this evening.
Yeah, I was trying to go with it there, but then the more that it came to my mind, the more that I could be like, that's a dumb idea. It's like that doesn't make sense. Like, if you can change your tires and fuel your car at the same time, why can you do it for one car but not another?
I don't know. Why don't you PO Box iRacing and see what happens? Nathan Graham here is going to make that move past Jonathan Dickerman. Graham there is through. Honestly, mate, I cannot tell you that situation, but that is what I was informed this evening, was the fact that the SR10 is still in that state of affairs. As we see Ben Barnes move all the way up into 5th place, Dylan Gonaz, Mason Sager, Ryan O'Connor is all in the pits currently at the moment, and it's all dependent on where Steve Baker's going to come out after all of this and how is he going to get on. But however, I have had this. And this does not remind me that he's done well.
Ooh. No, that's not good. But he was able to collect it. He's able to save it. No damage there. Just a little rough on the tires.
Yeah, and the only thing he has lost as well is his position on track. He went in early.
Oh, was that his outlap?
Yeah, that was his outlap.
Oh, yeah, that's bad time there.
Yeah, he's now down in 13th. Well, 12th. He's got past Dickerman, but he's got everybody, the next 4 in front of him, Graham, Sagar, O'Connor and Atkins, they've all pitted. So he's trying to chase down Sean Atkins here, and Atkins is pitted. So it's going to be a fair fight between the Mercedes and the Porsche. So that spin for Baker did not do him well after these pit stops, Michael, when he's lost a considerable amount of time.
Oh, that's a horrible instance for him then, because that's huge. If you could come out there with clean air and you just, kind of don't take advantage of that, that's a huge loss. That's the whole goal, is to fight your way for that clean air on your pit stop. You want to be able to get in and get out. That is just crucial, and it's crushing that he lost all that time. I want to throw it out here to the YouTube channel real quick. Dad Fit Only. I think there's probably about 10 laps left. My dog is number 17. Come on, you can do it. Do we have a number 17 in the field? Is he talking about number 7, Ben Barnes? Or is he talking about the 27, Dylan Gonaz?
No. Dad Vid, what do you think? What are you talking? You got about 17 minutes, so if you can handle 17 minutes, you'll be doing just fine. So that is how long we have got left here this evening of this race. We've got James Rep, Peter Muller, Ben Barnes, Daniel Pereira, Nathan Graham all in the pits. Dylan Gonaz has already pitted. He has moved up into 3rd. He's picked James Rep on the exit. Rep coming out of the pits there, and Gonaz just pipped him for 3rd place. Jay Smart is currently in 2nd in the Lamborghini. Unfortunately for Baker, I don't think Baker might clear Pereira and Muller. Yes, he has just cleared Muller there as they were coming out the pits. Now Baker has still got to push back up from Sean Atkins, who he wasn't even in the same fight with earlier on, but unfortunately due to a spin, he is now, Michael, going to be a tough one for Baker to start making his move back through the field again.
Yeah, and I want to go ahead and jump up 2 spots here. Sorry, I can't count. I never graduated 1st grade. Up 4 spots here. Ben Barnes up 7 spots tonight, up into 6th place, but right above him, Mason Sagar. In 5th place here, up 6 spots, the highest ranked Mercedes so far in the race right now. He's already been in for a pit stop, slowly but surely working his way up into the top 5. That's a very, very, very nice job there by Mason Sagar. Also want to shout out to Dylan Gonaz after his pit stop, up 4 spots, up into 3rd place. So we got a podium here of Joseph Cars, Jay Smart, and Dylan Gonaz.
Yeah, it should be an interesting one here as Carnes and Smart are together on track by about 0.4 of a second currently at the moment. These two guys are going to be coming together very shortly. Baker is just going to clear Atkins on that run down there. Atkins made that what would be perceived as very considerably easy for Baker there. There wasn't really much. It looked like Atkins really didn't put up the fight as they go down into 14 and around the roller coaster and off into 15. But however, I'm expecting Carnes to have a little bit more of an oomph in him to be battling away here. And we've also got Rep and Gonaz as well. So with front four are all battling. Michael, I think it's going to be an interesting next 15 minutes.
Yeah, I can't argue with that at all. I think this is when the cars are really going to start to come together. We're going to see who took advantage of their pit stops here. We see Smart just right here on the back of Carnes. Jay Smart in that Lamborghini, you know, just really pushing the back end of that Ferrari there. And we jump back here to Rep, James Rep on the back end of Gonaz. That's Ferrari on Lamborghini. So kind of the opposite that we got going on for first place and second place between third place and fourth place.
Yeah, it is. It's like all of it. It's 2 by 2, isn't it? It's like Noah's Ark. But Rep going a very slow run out of turn 12 on this run down now. They're going to be side by side. Ferrari on the right, Lamborghini on the left. I can guarantee they're sitting in their rigs going, come on, come on, come on, we can do this. And the Ferrari looks like he may have held off that Lamborghini as they go around here. Round the roller coaster they go. I think the Ferrari's showing pace, right? And I think that's going to be the thing that might hold on to Joseph Carnes here. But he looks like he's got a... Ooh, they're going to be
Jay
side
Smart
by
making
side.
that move.
Yeah, he's going to try.
Making that move. That Lamborghini's really coming on strong here in the second part of this race.
Don't say I told you so, Michael. I don't. That's not good sportsmanship.
Did I say that?
No,
Is
I would have.
Did those words come out of my mouth?
I would.
We've still got plenty of racing to go here. I ain't count my chickens before they hatch. But it is a little bit surprising to see 6, 7, and 8. Your 3 Porsches there in the top 10 so far back. Mason Sagar, like I said momentarily a moment ago, up 6 spots into top 5. And then it's Ferrari, Lamborghini for your top 4 places there. So it's really showing how strong these Lamborghinis and these Ferraris are. And it looks like they're able to hold on to their tires pretty well. I wonder how many of those Porsches had to change their tires. And not only that, but look at where these Audis have fallen off the face of the earth, 13th and 15th. They were up in the top 10, just like trying to get in the 10th, 11th, 12th there. And now they're not even, knocking on the doorstep there. And we don't have a single BMW in the top 15. So that kind of goes to show what you were saying at the beginning of the race here. These BMWs, they're kind of hard to control, and it's really showing tonight.
Yeah, they're horrible, to be basically honest. But this is probably why we don't have an Audi in the top. Oh, Fernandez. Oh, Fernandez. Into the wall goes Joseph Fernandez. And that's not going to do that Audi any good whatsoever. I'll be surprised if that can still run in a straight line. But we've got Jay Smart now, and he is chasing down the Ferrari of Joseph Carnes. And here we go with these guys.
Man, he is just all over the bumper of this Ferrari, but the only thing that's got me scratching my head is the fact that, Joseph Carnes has been in this situation multiple times tonight. Earlier was a Porsche on his rear end. He was able to fight through it, didn't worry about it, didn't break a sweat. Just kept hitting his hitting his marks and, putting down his lap times. Jay Smart here, my pick off the beginning here, one of these Lamborghinis. He's really pushing here. He's brought this gap down to like a minuscule amount. He's 6/10 off here. It's right there for the taking. But I think Joseph Carnes just, he's been proving all night. As we see O'Connor trying to make the move on the Sager, moving himself into 5th place here. That's a Porsche. We were just talking about how the Porsches have kind of fallen off. And it looks like he's fallen back a little bit. But back
don't
to
think
my
it's gonna be
previous
long.
point. Yeah, I don't think so either. Just to
It's gonna be
finish
now.
my previous point here, he's gonna get the exit out of here. James, you are correct. It's gonna be a drag race, but that Porsche is gonna get the job done. The Mercedes, nothing he can do. He's gonna try to fight him back though.
It's trying to come out in Sagar trying to push O'Connor there. Nothing doing at the moment. Really, O'Connor could do with slowing Sagar down for Baker, but the only problem for O'Connor is he's got 17 seconds up the road to get Dylan Gonaz. So, you know, there's a lot going on in O'Connor's car about now, but let's see how this one pans out up front with Joseph Carnes and Jay Smart. If, you know, Carnes has looked strong, hasn't he? He's looked strong here tonight. I'm not saying the Lamborghini isn't coming into his own, as we did speak about it earlier on, but I think from Smart's point of view, he's got to try and stay close through this section here, dropping down through 11 and 12, before they can go on that long run around the oak tree. Because otherwise, I think that Ferrari's got a little bit more grunt than that Lamborghini.
You know what? I think it's the exact opposite. I really think that Lamborghini is just super strong in this track. And Joseph Carnes is just, you know, ice cold veins tonight. I think he's just on a different level right now. You know, he doesn't have very long to go here. I'm really shocked at the dominance that Joseph Carnes like showing tonight. You know, he's had these cars on his bumper all night long. It hasn't affected him. And at this point in this race, I would be extremely shocked to see my pre-race call of a Lamborghini win this race. I think Joseph Carnes, he might take him right here, but
he squeezed him out to the grass.
Oh, see, that's a little suspicious there. I'm not a fan of that at all. No, not a fan of that at all. That move was not acceptable. I think Carnes really needs to get that spot back up because he completely pushed that Lamborghini off the track.
Yeah, I think this is where it is. It's Smart. Carnes coming across, puts him on the grass.
Yeah, there's no excuse for that one. Yeah. Then Jay Smart, look at his wheels. He can't keep it straight.
Yeah, Smart.
Yeah, I think that was one for the stewards, but I'm leaning towards a bit of a. I don't agree with that move from Joseph Carnes.
No, I think I'm not really sure how that one was going to play out. I think Smart was definitely beside him. There's no shadow of a doubt whether or not there wasn't. Was there really? And I think, you know, Carnes is keeping it straight though. Oh, there. Was there much force to the right?
I gotta see that replay again because we haven't seen it from the inside of the car yet, so that might change my mind right there.
All right, hold on.
Because I was giving my boy Joseph, I was giving him mad props leading up to this.
His wheel straight, but then he squeezed the gap.
He knew that the car was there.
He must have done.
He needed to give room there. I get what you're saying. His wheel was straight,
Yeah.
but he knew where his car was going, and he knew there was a car there.
He must have known that because even his spotter would have been shouting at him by now, saying "car on the right, car on the right," and
Yeah, I'm still gonna have to. I'm gonna have to say that was a tough move there by Joseph Carnes. I'm not sure I agree with that move 100%, especially since it was race ending here for Jay Smart. Jay Smart's not gonna be,
he's
you
not
know,
going to be back
able to.
class repairs on that one, mate. He's done.
He lost the podium on that, so. You know, and right now, you know, Ferraris, they're running strong. We got Ferrari 1-2. We got a Lamborghini, Dylan Gonez in third place here, up 4 spots. Ryan O'Connor up into 4th. Mason Sagar in 5th. And then we got Mason Sagar under attack by Steve Baker here.
Yeah, I think Sagar is going to be under the cosh a little bit at the moment because I do love Sagar's livery, I'm not going to lie. But if we go on the back, there's the looming Porsche of Steve Baker. Now, obviously, Baker's trying to come back after his mistake on his outlap after pitting before anybody else, mind you. And he didn't real. Sagar's gone in deep. Here we come. Here we come. Here is the Porsche of Baker on this run down now, coming down into 14. Can't get close enough. Can't get close enough. It's pulled out now.
Yeah, but if you can't make your advantage on a straightaway against a Porsche, you're screwed.
Oh.
Those Porsches. Oh! I didn't mean it literally.
Dude, you spoke too soon. Poor old Mason Sagar. And that allows Steve Baker through as well. Well, see, that's you, that one. I'm blaming you on that one.
Yeah, I'll take the blame for that. But I was trying to say is that if you can't take advantage of a straightaway against a Porsche, the Porsche is going to kill you on the twisty turvies. So, I mean, I didn't mean for the Mercedes to go off there, but he was going to lose that position pretty soon here, I think.
Yeah, I think he's going to lose another
ram on Sagar here yet. I agree with you there.
I don't know if Sagar looks like he's lost a whole of his front end there. His bumper his bumper is in another dimension.
You know, I know there's a couple Civic drivers that like to do that with their hoods.
Yeah, Nathan Graham.
I'm sorry, the bonnet.
Yeah, bonnet, not hood. Yeah. Don't forget,
the bonnet.
We're English. We call it a bonnet and a boot because we couldn't think of anything else to call it. So we call it a bonnet and a boot.
Because a hood in the trunk doesn't work.
No. I'm not quite sure why it doesn't, to be honest. Yeah. But
coming from the man who is the potato gatekeeper.
Don't do it.
Just saying, the potato gatekeeper. The potato gatekeeper.
You know the
potato gatekeeper. I crossed the lines. I admitted to it. I crossed the lines. I'm just saying, you need to try it. I went to your side. I went to the dark side, and I admit this wasn't the first time that I've ever been to the dark side.
Well,
you know, I'm not talking trash here. I'm just saying it's on you to try it.
I will do, and I'll send you a photo. If you're wondering why you're sitting there thinking, what are these two actually talking about? We're talking about steak and whether or not you eat it with a jacket potato or a baked potato, depending on where you're from, or if you eat it with chips. Michael is a baked potato fan. Me, however, thinks, how weird is that? And you would eat it with chips. But you know,
I think that's unfair. You say that I'm a baked potato fan, which, in all fairness, yes, I am a baked potato fan. But the way that I look at it is, logically speaking, they're all potatoes. So it doesn't matter if it's a baked potato, mashed potatoes, a French fry. Like, they're all the same. So I don't understand how you can get hung up on the fact that it's a jacket potato instead of chips, when really the only difference is one's sliced and fried and one's just, you know, like, come on, like that's where my disconnect is how you can get hung up on the difference when my point is they're both potatoes.
Right. I do agree
Cooked
with you.
Extremely similar.
I do agree with you.
Extremely similar.
Well, I agree with you that they are all potatoes, right? But as you say, one is sliced and deep fried, or you can put it in the oven depending on what you're running with currently.
Yeah.
As we can see, Joseph Carnes is going to have one more here tonight before the end on the races. We're watching this battle of Nathan Graham and Daniel Pereira. They have come to contact already on lap 2. And Pereira, unfortunately, has been involved with another incident with Birmingham on lap 8 as well. So there is quite a lot of history going on in Pereira's car already. Personally, I'm a chips man. Michael likes his potatoes. They're all potatoes. We agree on that. So, yeah, nobody's going to win, basically. That's going to be the result. Apart from Joseph Carnes, who might have to answer to the stewards after that incident with Jay Smart. And Pereira and Graham, as long as they can keep it clean for the next minute and a half, that would be ideal here tonight as well. All
I'm saying is that you need to try a baked potato with your steak.
That's fine.
And then Just try it, and I'll, you'll see what I'm saying, and you'll get it. Okay.
I agree, and I will. At
We
some
see
point.
what a battle here by Graham here, right up on the tail end of Pereira. Like you said, they've already come together once. It looks like, oh yeah, Graham had to back out there a little bit. I'm not sure if he got a little oversteer there, lost some front end grip.
He got a little bit squirrely, and unfortunately for Joseph Carnes, unfortunately for Nathan Graham, sorry, he lost a big old chunk of time behind Daniel Pereira. So although Pereira's start wasn't great, his ending's been a little bit more. He's up 2 places on his grid slot already, and he is sitting in 7th place. So from Daniel Pereira's point of view, I think he's done well. Smart is about to come, Joseph Kahn, sorry, is about to come round and start the final lap of the race. And there he goes on the final lap of the race. There is Daniel Pereira from the Black Gold Racing livery to match. Of course, Pereira's now got to try and keep back Nathan Graham for this final lap of the race. Here this evening we will pick up our leader, as we don't have a track map currently on the screen, and I can't tell you where actually he is. So I don't want to miss the ending, so we will pick him up very, very shortly, and ride the rest of the lap with Joseph Carnes here. He is coming through 5, 6 and 6A through the Snake, I believe, and then off around that 7, 8 and 9. If anything other than that happens within this next lap, Michael, I think we will catch it, but it's a tough one when there's no track map currently on the screen.
Yeah, as you've known, I've been kind of dealing with my own technical issues tonight, so yeah, we're all on the same page here. But yeah, no, I know I was talking up Joseph Carnes, then there was the incident between him and Jay Smart, giant gray area there, but if you take that incident out, which unless you're Jay Smart or a Jay Smart fan, if you take that incident out of the equation, Joseph Carnes dominated this race. Yeah, you can't take that incident away, but aside from that, he's completely dominated the race. He was under pressure for a majority of the race, whether it be from Jay Smart or whether it be, was it Ryan O'Connor in the Porsche, or it was a Steve Baker that was testing him there for a while at the beginning. Which, by the way, those Porsches, 4th, 5th, and 6th, moving themselves back up into the top 6 there. So Mason Sagar not really coming through here. So we see Joseph Carnes. Yep.
Joseph Carnes comes across the line and takes the victory here at Virginia International Raceway with James Rep in 2nd place, and Dylan Gonaz comes across the line in an amazing 3rd. So well done to Gonaz there. 3rd place for him. Ryan O'Connor going to come across the line in 4th place. That is Ryan O'Connor. And then the recovering Steve Baker, really, I don't really like not calling him. He's not recovering, but he is kind of the recovering Steve Baker. Lost a lot of time on an outlap there as well. Peter Muller is going to come across the line. Nathan Graham did clear Daniel Pereira. Pereira did go off track. Now I'm hoping this wasn't... No, okay, this was his own doing.
That was close there, but yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with you. That was all self-inflicted. He was able to keep it on the wall, though.
Yeah, Sean Atkins in the Mercedes is just about to come round and finish in 10th place.
So this is a bit shocking. The Mercedes last season was the dominant car, I think.
Well,
to see it, fall off the way it has, I'm kind of surprised.
Yeah, I think it did really well, and I, as I say, I enjoyed driving the Merc. I liked it. I'm not entirely sure. I haven't dipped my toe back in the water as of yet with the Mercedes there, so it might be something I'll look at. Jared Lindsay as well coming across the line in 11th there. Joseph Dickerman has smashed that car up.
Yeah, that car looks like it's been in the destruction derby a little bit.
No, that's Jared Lindsay.
What's?
I'm not quite sure.
See here, there's just so many elevation changes and blind curves. Like this track, you have to memorize the track on top of memorizing, your braking marks, because, most tracks you can kind of get it, and then you memorize your brake points. But like with this track, you have to a lot of times you won't be able to see your actual braking marker, because you're coming over a blind turn that's, on a slope. This is a tough track. So kudos to these guys, for taking this win. Joseph Carnes, James Rep, Dylan Gonez coming up in the podium there. And I know we already said we had a bit of a gray area there between Joseph Carnes and Jay Smart, but aside from that incident, I really think Joseph Carnes just completely dominated this race. Whether he was out on in the lead by himself, or whether he was under pressure by one of these Porsches or Lamborghinis, he just kind of completely dominated the race. Do we have a driver of the day? Because I think I got to go with Joseph Carnes.
Yeah, I could go there as well. To be honest,
now I don't want to talk down the gray area, because I think that gray area needs to go see the stewards. I do think that incident was an incident, and I don't agree with that incident. I'm just saying, aside from that incident, the rest of the race, Joseph Carnes dominated.
Yeah.
So it depends on how you want to look at that incident.
Yeah, definitely. I suppose on that one, I will leave that with the stewards. But there are your final results. Joseph Carnes does take the win. James Rep in second place. Dylan Gonaz in third. Ryan O'Connor does finish in fourth. Steve Baker fifth. Peter Muller in sixth. Nathan Graham in seventh. Daniel Pereira in eighth. Mason Sagar in ninth. Sean Atkins in 10th. Jared Lindsay in 11th. Jonathan Dickerman in 12th. Jay Smart in 13th. Joseph Fernandez 14th. Ben Barnes 15th, Nathan Heffley down in 16th, Brandon Birmingham down in 17th place. Beyond that, Tamas Boniati down in 18th, and Reed Wilson didn't look like he took to the start, because they have done 26 laps. So Reed Wilson, they're done as well. Well, that sums up the first race of the season. We've got plenty more action to come, guys, and don't forget we have got Bathurst next week, which is going to be an absolutely incredible circuit. Michael, summing up the racing, we've got James Rep in the interview room there as well, so we can have a quick word with James. What do you think the racing overall has been like, the standard of racing overall?
I think it was great. I'm really excited. These first couple tracks that we're going to here, obviously VIR here tonight, next week there at Bathurst, and then going to Zolder. You're starting off with 3 tracks that are very tight, twisty, toury, kind of blind turns here and there. Not a lot of overtaking spots. So you're gonna see the drivers that are a little more consistent, a little more steady-handed, kind of making their name up there.
Yeah.
And then once we get into the meat of the schedule, you're going to see your Daytonas are going to be kind of a wild card.
Yeah,
but I think once we get through the first chunk of this season, the first 3, 4, 5 races, we're going to have a steady confirmation of who's really a strong contender this season. I don't think it's going to be too long for us to really recognize that. Those drivers.
Bring James Rep into the booth. Good evening, James. How are you?
Hey guys, how's it going, man?
I'm good, man. How was that for you?
Oh, it was great, dude. Really solid racing, man, all the way around.
Yeah, you seem to do well. You're up 3 on your grid start. You were started down in 5th, moved up to 2nd place. Little bit fortunate maybe with the incident with Joseph Carnes and Jay Smart. Smart put it off, and Baker, unfortunately, as well, did spin on his outlap coming out of the pits, which again aided you because he was unable to catch you back up. Explain this circuit from your point of view, because from us, we can say what we like, but we're not the ones in the car, mate. You tell us what it was like driving around Virginia.
Yeah, I'm going to say, man, driving the first couple laps, I had Dylan next to me, and me and Dylan were going back and forth, door to door, pretty much on a few turns and here and there. But other than that, this track is very unforgiving, I guess you could say. One mistake on this track and you're done. Like it'll put you into a wall, you'll spin, you're going to lose multiple places. It's just going to be devastating to your race. So it's more of a consistent race than it would be a competitive race, if that makes any sense.
I think that's
the more consistent you can run, you'll be better off at the end.
Yeah, I think that was the thing here at Virginia, was that the consistency did seem to play a big part, and people who did manage to keep it on track also did a stellar job as well. So I think from that point of view, they were amazing at what they did and did well. Yeah, there were some mistakes. Yeah, there was some incidents that the stewards may need to be looking at. But overall, the standard of racing was great. Onwards and upwards, though, James, into Bathurst next week, of all places. You're going to be out practicing that mountain section and through the corkscrew?
I'm going to tell you, I'm going to have to practice this. That's one of my least favorite tracks. I like driving the track, but I don't like racing on it. It might be worse than Virginia as far as unforgiving. I can't get the track down. I can't get the mountain down. I don't know. I'll practice it this week, though, for sure.
Yeah, it's definitely going to need to be. But James, thank you so much for joining me in the booth. Is there anyone you want to give a shout out to before you leave the booth this evening?
Just a shout out to Dylan Gonis, man. We had a good race side by side. It sucks what happened between the first and second. But shout out to Ben Barnes too, my teammate, man. He had an unlucky race, but we'll get him next week, man.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure you will, James. Well, thank you so much for joining me, and I look forward to having a chat with you as the season goes on.
Oh, yeah. Sure thing, man.
All right, let's bring in Dylan Gonas into the booth. Good evening, Dylan. How are you?
Good morning, buddy. How are you?
I'm all right, mate. Not bad. Yeah. Not bad at all, considering it's 3 a.m., 20 past 3.
That's right. Breakfast time, I suppose, eh?
Mate, do you know what? The worst thing is I'm sat here absolutely starving. I may have to go and do something. You know what I mean? Don't get me wrong. Tell us about your race there, Dylan. How did it go for you?
Well, it was a little rough. I got it's a pretty sketchy place to try and overtake or even drive side by side on. Practice, I thought I had good pace. Race started and it all went out the window, and I don't know, I was just hanging on. It seemed like if you were battling with a good group, that draft was really, really strong. I was kind of in no man's land for most of the race, and it just seemed like them guys were just throwing down lightning laps. I was just like, I can't do it. I'm just gonna sit back and do this, and I don't know. Things kept happening, and here I am.
Well, that's what I mean. At the end of the day, the front two did come together. They did have an incident. It's got to be. There will be a discussion, I think, with the stewards involved in that. Don't get me wrong, with that incident. But overall, look, let's not put down what you've done. You moved up 4 positions. You finished in third place. You're on the podium. Job's a good one. Onwards and upwards into Bathurst. Are you a Bathurst lover or are you a hater?
Absolute lover. V8 supercars are phenomenal and criminally underrated to watch. And actually, me and a partner of mine got second place in the Bathurst 12-hour last season. Let's see. 8th split, but second place is second place.
Don't even question.
Yeah, ain't nothing to be ashamed for.
No, dude, don't even question the splits. Just say you got second place. That would do.
That's right. Well, can you rewind that? Edit that out. Yeah, second place in the 12-hour Bathurst. Max Verstappen was in it and everything.
Yeah, live TV, mate. I can't do a lot about it. I'm sorry. You know what I mean, Dylan? You dropped yourself in it there, buddy. But look, onwards and upwards, mate. You've had a great race overall. You've taken third place. So congratulations on that one. Anyone you want to give a shout out to before you leave the booth this evening?
I appreciate you guys. You guys put on the greatest show I've ever seen in the 5 years I've been in iRacing. So shout out to you guys. Wilder Graphics, they're a good paint booth. They always hook me up and they always help me out, and they always got my crazy ideas lined up. And anybody that supports this league's growing, and it's growing the right way, and I like seeing it. And I want to give a shout out to my buddy James Rep for beating me and having a hell of a race. That was good.
Yeah, it's going to be absolutely amazing season here, Dylan. I'm really looking forward to this one. So you take care, buddy, and I'll look forward to catching you as the season progresses.
Looking forward to rewatching the race. Enjoy your breakfast there, sir.
Cheers, mate. Thank you very much. All right. There we go, Michael. They, good spirits overall, I think, between the guys here this evening. And I think overall everybody was happy with the way the race went. Incidents happen. We know that in general. So what's your take on the racing for this evening?
I think that incident was pretty strong. I think that incident is something that you can't really take away. My sentiment, Joseph Carnes completely crushed it, but that incident that he was involved with Jay Smart falling completely out of the top 10, down 11 spots, unable to really truly finish the race. I don't think you can take away from the fact that Joseph Carnes was such a solid driver all night long from start to finish. But that incident just completely ruined Jay Smart's race, and it was, in my opinion, a very
avoidable.
Exactly. There we go. It was very avoidable.
It was avoidable.
Obviously, we're not stewards. I'm not trying to throw blame or shade on anybody. I honestly think that Joseph Carnes just took that race hands down, but that incident is kind of leaving a little bit of a bad taste in my mouth. So I hope that next week, we see Jay Smart come back and bounce back, and we see another solid race between Carnes and Smart, and we see that this was just a fluke, and it was just, the racing incident. That's what I'm hoping for. That this is, not the norm. It is the exception to the rule. Aside from that, I didn't really see any dirty driving. I'm sorry if I'm coming off the wrong way. I don't think James Carnes was intentionally wrecking anybody. We saw his wheel, he was straight. I just think there was an unfortunate incident that kind of, being on the first race, I'd like to see these drivers take that, use that as cannon fodder, and kind of move on from that. And, I think the racing for the next season, or for the rest of the season, it's going to be tough. It's going to be exciting. I'm excited to go to Bathurst. I'm excited to, see Zolder, as you know. I'm excited to see that Chicago circuit because I've never been there. So, if I can bring anything into the night, it's got me licking my chops. I'm ready to dig into this.
Yeah, it should be really good there as well. Let me just see. Actually, 2 seconds. Oh, okay. No worries at all. It's been a very eventful evening, guys, here for the LSRL GT3. And if that is wetting your lips for more action, then please don't forget to subscribe, turn on the bells for notifications, give the videos a big old thumbs up, because next week is a very busy week here on the JPB YouTube channel. On Tuesday, we've got the UK Sim Racers from Lime Rock in the GR86. Then we've got the BSE Daytona there as well at 12 p.m. Then we've got the LSRL F1 Series. It starts next week as well, and I'm really looking forward to that one. That's going to be absolutely incredible. We've got 2 races that night at 1 o'clock the 1 o'clock for me was about 8 o'clock for you. 8 o'clock Eastern time there as well. And then on Thursday, we've got the Radical Race Series, Radical Sim Racing as well, the US division, and then the AMS and Pros European on Friday. SRL follows straight after that with round 5 of the GT4, and then we are back here next week at Bathurst. But guys, thank you so much for joining us this evening. From me and Michael, you all take care. Have a great week. And you never know, we might see you on the track sometime. Good night.